What is up, everybody? It's 8 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time for another episode of your favorite show, everybody's favorite show, because it has to be Home Theater Fanatics. And today, we have a super special guest. David Solomon is the master and commander of Qobuz. At least that's how I think of him. And he is going to be joining us today to chat a little bit about all things Qobuz music, and then especially that t-shirt he's got on. So, hey man, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Good, Giles. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, I'm doing great. So I'm so happy to have you here with us because, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but we're going to talk about something that has changed my life. And not everything that I get into is life-changing, but Qobuz has been a life changer for me as far as music is concerned. I've always struggled with being able to find music that I enjoy, and Qobuz, along with some other stuff that we'll talk about, has really changed all that for me. But in any event, we'll get to that. But tell everybody who you are. I mean, what's your relationship with Qobuz? And then I want to know about how David was built. what's your origin story? Like you're a superhero.
Wow. Well,
he's like, oh my God, what did I get into?
Leader of Qobuz, that would be Dan Macta from. He's in New York. He's our managing director and a terrific guy. Great to work with. And then we work with about 5 other people in the United States that comprises the Qobuz team. Everybody's in New York except me. I'm in Atlanta.
Right.
So it's a really cool team, and I feel, super lucky to be here. I love what I do. Everyone should be so lucky to have a job that they just, when your vocation is your avocation, that's where some magic starts happening in life, and that's certainly what's happened to me. But I've been, a musician and a sound engineer my entire life. I've always, when I say my entire life, from my teens.
Right.
But at any rate, I've been around music for forever, starting at probably, a baby, and
Right.
my family loved music. So it was just something that I grew up with and desired to be around as much as possible. And when I finally found, my career path, which was almost accidental, it just, I couldn't believe, like, for the first 5 years that I could get paid to do what I was doing. I mean,
Right.
Seriously, it was so much fun. I started out in the hi-fi industry, and the only reason I did it was because I thought, oh, well, our band is going to get signed in the fall. Let me work for 6 or 7 months and get a good stereo system out of the deal. And then of course, when I'm a rock and roll star, then I will have had that under my belt. And like a few decades later, I'm still in the same industry. But
So
I've been really diverse, though, right? It's been quite a journey, because although I did start with hi-fi in stores, I eventually co-founded a company called Peachtree Audio.
Oh, I know Peachtree. Everybody knows Peachtree. I didn't know you co-founded Peachtree.
Yeah, because my partner and myself, we started, looking around at how people use gear and how stereo systems were configured. And, the first thing we noticed is that, everything at that point, because I think this was around 2004 when we started the concept, but even back then, there were no real analog devices. Everything had turned to digital except the turntable.
Right.
So really, you needed unanalog input, not 8 analog inputs. Because I would tell my partner, I'm going, okay, so what are you going to plug into those 8 analog inputs? There aren't 8 analog sources. It just made no sense to us. So we knew streaming was going to start really catching on, and obviously digital was going nowhere. So we ended up building the first integrated amplifier with all digital inputs in one, and then eventually 2 analog inputs, just in case. So
Just right.
That was a really cool thing. That was a great experience, because we really trumped the whole industry. Nobody was doing that. And if you look at the industry today, It's like everybody's doing that, but it
Oh, you
took
have
everybody
to.
about yeah, it took everybody about 2 years to catch up with that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not doing that today, I mean, your equipment's just not, what's the right word, modern enough to function.
Yeah, I see that in most brands, but with all of the D to A converters on the market
Mhm.
these days, and some just incredible D to A converters at that,
Really good ones.
there's really a great workaround, even with companies that put lots of analog inputs on there, which I don't think for some reason that'll really ever change. But if you think about it, what do you have that's analog? You might have a turntable. That would be probably
Uh-huh.
likely. You might have a tape deck, maybe, but
If you're hardcore, you've got a reel to reel. If you're hardcore,
yeah, if you're like, way old, you might even still be, into a tuner. But
a
I
tuner, oh my gosh. I haven't
yeah,
listened to straight radio on any of my systems in, I can't remember the last time I had a tuner hooked up.
I can't remember the last time I had a CD in my system. It's
It's
just,
true.
things progress. So at one point I was playing nothing but albums, then albums in 8 tracks, then albums in cassettes, then albums in CDs, and now albums and streaming.
Right.
It's a great progression. It's a great progression, but it's a really, really great time to be a music lover um, in 2021. You pull up anything you want anytime, and now with Qobuz, it's can be high resolution. These files that I
Right.
used to pay, when I say files, when these albums that I used to pay, because I was really big into high res way before it was being streamed, way
Hmm.
before there was even the ability, there was the backbone, the structure wasn't there to be able to stream 2496 or 24192.
Right.
So I was buying those and just had a ton of them, but I was paying what, 30 to $60 per album,
Hmm.
with this with this addiction or this hobby, or whatever
Yes,
you want to call
all
it.
of those things. Indeed. So here, before we move into more of the Koba stuff, I want to rewind just a little bit back to the days that when you were young and you were in your band and you had your aspirations. So what instrument did you play? I see a drum set and looks like a guitar back there. What
I'm a
so
hack. I'm a hack guitarist, but I'm a drummer my whole life. I still
okay.
play. Obviously over the last year or so, we haven't been able to do much with uh, people coming over and jamming, or me going over to a studio or whatever. It's been pretty much in the house. But in the middle of this, I located, I don't know, maybe a dozen or so albums on Qobuz that are drumless tracks. So there's like Drumless Funk, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Drumless Rock,
Right.
Drumless. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. I've been playing with that a lot, and that is a lot of fun.
That is exciting. I know there are some websites out there where people will collaborate. So, someone will lay down like a bass track, right? And they're like, okay, I'm looking for a drummer to put a beat on top of this, right? And, a drummer will do a session and add their piece. And then they're like, okay, we need a vocalist and somebody that can make up some lyrics for this thing. Or maybe it starts out the other way. Someone's like, I've got this melody and, I need someone to turn this into,
Mhm.
build that out, put a bridge on it, all that kind of stuff, right? And I think that's really cool. And my kids have been looking into that, and they are neophyte musicians, I guess at best, but they'll whack something out on piano, and they're like, hey, can somebody do something with this? And some people have taken that thing and added, like a guitar and a bass track to it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
you can get
so
some pretty
cool.
cool stuff. Robbie Robertson from the band has got a collaboration out right now. It's the 50th, I think, anniversary of the Wait, and
Okay.
he's got musicians from all over the world, doing their part. And from time to time, they'll switch the view on musicians. It is absolutely it gives me goosebumps the whole way through. But there's quite a few of those, and I'm enthralled. I love them. I watch those things.
Right on. Okay, so good. We're going to shift gears again, and but now I want to get into maybe the most important topic for tonight, which is your T-shirt. Obviously, I don't know if people can see this or not, but I noticed it a little bit earlier. Oh, welcome, Steve. What's up? I think everybody knows Steve. Steve Nemi.
Oh, Steve. Steve is an old buddy. I love that guy.
Oh, he's awesome. He's awesome. But yeah, that T-shirt is killer. I where does someone find one of those? Any idea?
Amazon.
Amazon. Okay, that I
I,
see. I
I
have to
actually
have it.
specifically was looking for. I went VU meter T-shirt, boom,
Yes,
and they started popping up. So yeah, I knew they were available, but yeah, it
that
is
that
kind of a
is
cool T-shirt
that is
because
really
we were
cool.
talking earlier, right?
Uh huh.
Everybody loves VU meters. Why did people take V? Why did the VU meter go away? It's making a kind of a comeback right now. I love it.
It is. I mean, Macintosh obviously is brilliant because they've kept VU meters on everything forever. But I've actually got a streamer, and
Which one?
it's from Hi-Fi Rose.
Yo,
They
man, that is a cool product.
yeah. Are you familiar with it?
Oh my gosh, yeah, we just started working with those guys, and like for $1,800, this is like
Mm-hmm.
I haven't listened to it. Dan has. He says it's incredible, but I can't wait to get one and try it out.
Yeah. So I've
And
worked
it's
with
got the digital
the
VU
digital
meters.
VU meters, right?
Yeah.
So yes, and so for the people that don't know, it's like a regular component size, so it's like 18 inches wide and like 4 inches tall, but the whole front screen is a display, right? And you put anything up there pretty much, but one of the features is the dual VU meters, and it's just gorgeous. So I've used the RS-150, which is their top end model on the streaming side, and it sounds absolutely wonderful. And it's got it just got Qobuz not too long ago, I believe.
Yeah,
And
we
I
were
know,
working with those guys. We saw the design, just the industrial design by itself. If you see something like this, you're going, okay, these people are super innovative. I don't know what it sounds like, but it does have a digital out. So if you wanted to use it, with another outboard DAC
oh,
or
the
whatnot,
the inboard DAC is totally fine. The onboard
that's what
it
Dan
sounds great.
said. He's
Yeah,
he's using it on some DeVore audio loudspeakers. I believe
nice.
it's the Gibbons, and he said it's just fantastic, very musical. So, a lot's happening there too. Lots of companies are into really, really good streamers. Starting off with like the Blue Sound or even Sonos.
Hmm. Yeah,
Starting off with
yeah.
like Sonos. They're that's an incredible company that I think about 95% of the Sonos users are using them in MP3, and most don't know that even that product, from early on, from its inception, was able to at least stream 1644. And
Hmm.
now, no telling what these guys are going to be doing, soon.
I would expect that at some point in the not too distant future, they're going to have to release something that, on paper is competitive with all the other streaming devices out there. Sure, they're a mass market play, but man, there's nothing holding them back. Sonos can own a huge market share in the high end streaming world if they kind of reach out and grab it.
Yeah, really. It's one of those companies, sort of like Apple. If they want it, they can get it. If they
Yeah,
don't want it, then Sonos is doing fine like they are.
you're doing fine.
I don't think anyone can see their dust at this point from a streaming standpoint. So they really do have the common man, I think, better than anyone does. But then you start looking at Blue Sound. Blue Sound has got a couple of pieces with the VU meters, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So
yeah. They're
I'm familiar
MC.
with the Node 2i, but I didn't realize that they had VU meters on
Well,
some
they
of their
do
stuff
on
too.
like they've got it on like their integrated amplifier, sort of the
Okay.
equivalent of the Hi-Fi Rose.
Hmm.
And they've got displays that you can change and whatnot. There's several companies like that. I've got a nicer render streamer that's got VU
Hmm.
meters as well.
Yeah, that's nifty. Now, Blue Sound, they work with NAD. Is that the hard
Lindbrook owns
Lindbrook? Yeah,
NAD and Blue Sound,
right.
and they're a really really big company with just what seems to be unlimited resources or near unlimited resources.
So
So
Lindbrook,
you can just
I'm looking at you. You need to be here. I sent him an email. I don't know anybody over there yet, though.
who's that?
I said I sent them an email, Lindbrook, but I don't know anyone over there yet. So I'm
Oh, I
trying
can
to
introduce you to
I'm
those
trying to
folks.
break
They're
those doors down.
good bunch of folks, very hard
Yeah.
workers, and they make a good, solid product. One step above Sonos, and then you just keep going from there.
Hmm. Yeah, but yeah, for everybody that hasn't seen the Hi-Fi Rose, I really recommend that they do because it's great, and their top end stuff is really pricey, but man, it's gorgeous, aesthetically looks good, sounds amazing. Now, I have a couple of questions around Qobuz, and I've had people ask me these questions, and I'm not really able to articulate the questions. And if this gets too deep, let me know. But I think I think these are common enough that you probably have the answers memorized at this point. But I have a lot of people come up to me and they'll say, "Why would Everstream? I've got all these CDs, and there's no way that Qobuz is going to have the quality that a CD has. So why would I even do it?" So from a technical point of view, what is the difference between a high res file, whether it's streamed or not, and the content that you get off of a CD? Are
Why
they?
don't we do apples and apples first? Because
Yeah, please do.
a few years ago, I was fortunate enough to bring in a company in the United States called Tidal. I was basically doing the same thing for them that I'm doing for Qobuz now.
Yep.
And when we brought that company in, we could stream bit perfect CD 1644. That's what Qobuz does now. The very lowest thing that you can stream is 1644. So bottom line is what you actually get from a full res service, and then we'll talk high res in just a sec, is exactly the same numbers that you get on CDs. CDs are just comprised of zeros and ones, and they have and they work at about 1411 kilobits per second at the very, very top end. So there's a good bit of information on a CD, but the CD can't hold everything that high res files can hold. So while you're playing back a 1644 file or a CD quality file, like I say, you're at about 1400 kilobits per second. When you start streaming high resolution audio, you're over 9200 kilobits per second. I mean, there is a lot of information that wouldn't even fit on a CD. If you were to get these files, say a few years ago, you would have had to do something like get an SACD player that can handle that much information. But a CD, there's no way. That is like obsolete at this point from a storage unit, because who's recording in 1644 anymore? Nobody. So, you really do need a better delivery system. And, SACDs were super expensive. SACD players were super expensive, and they weren't the most dependable hardware on the market. It was real sketchy. It was a tough mechanical pull to make an SACD even work. To keep on working forever is just it just doesn't happen. They're gonna tear up. And then what are you gonna do? Because it is an obsolete format as well, because you can do it much easier and not much better, but exactly the same as you do like an SACD. So if you were to buy an SACD or one of the high res files that for 30 or 50 or $60 that you had to do not long ago, our numbers are exactly the same. So it's the same ones and zeros. So as long as you're on the same digital path that you've got your CD player on, or your SACD player on, or whatnot, it cannot sound different. It's the exact same file.
Cool. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right on. So let's say hi to some of the folks that have jumped on. So Leonardo Tov. I don't think you've been on the show before, so welcome. I'm glad to see you here in the audience with us today. And he says that high-res streaming is the best. It's the present and the future, and Qobuz is the best of them all. So
thanks very much.
I enjoy Qobuz too, so I echo those sentiments quite a bit. Double A, the man, the myth, the legend, is here with us today. Good evening. Good evening to you as well. Mr. Piranha, the Mad Piranha, is in the house. Joey Peacock, hailing all the way over with Acurus and Aragon.
Wow.
He's down in the South somewhere.
I know the guys that founded that company.
Oh yeah. Ted and all those folks.
Tony Federici.
Deirdre works over there now. And those awesome people.
That's a cool company. I'm super glad to see those guys back in business.
Oh, dude, they're tearing it up in the home theater space. And they have some super secret stuff coming out in the 2-channel world here in the
Cool.
pretty soon future. Maybe I don't know exactly when. Joey won't tell me. Uh, but yeah, I absolutely love the brand. Let's see who else we got here. Hi-Fi Haven. Now he
Yeah.
does have a reel to reel.
Yeah.
He's located here in Colorado, closer to Denver than I am. So he's a local. And as I said before, Steve Nemi's in the house. And Steve is, I just met him not too long ago, and he is a super awesome, cool dude. I hope to see him at some of the trade shows that'll be going on this year.
I've known
And
Steve for a lot of years. He used to work at Audio Quest with him. I did a stint with those guys for about a year, and
see,
Steve was there.
everybody worked at Audio Quest.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
For a short period. It was a great little company.
Right on. And Facebook user, you didn't give permission to Facebook to send your name over, so I don't know who you are, so you're mysterious, but you love high res, and you just joined. And what devices can I output to? So are you asking what devices can Qobuz run on? Gosh, just about everything, it seems like.
Yeah, what a lot of people don't want to know, if you're just sticking your toe in the water, just get a trial account, because you can get one, but you could actually just use something like this, your iPhone or your Android. And I would suggest coming out to a DAC that you could get a little Audio Quest DAC for about 99
Firefly?
bucks. The little
Dragonfly, that's it. Yeah,
Dragonfly. I think the black these days is only like $100 or something, and you could use that on your phone or your computer. So you really already have a device that you can stream on. If you just want to try it out, because you can actually come out of USB out of your computer, which is it's a really, really high quality way to stick your toe in the water without spending hardly anything other than a small DAC, like I say, like a Dragonfly or something like that. So for about $100, you could try this stuff out. And the only problem is that, well, if you're a music lover, if you really like hearing that nth degree of detail, then Giles is right. It kind of changes your life, and so I'll apologize in advance for
ruining people's lives with their music. It's never the same again.
Well, it's just definitely it's really cool when you can. Wouldn't it have been incredible if you walked into a CD store a few years ago and the guy goes, "Well, what CD do you want? We go, "Well, every single thing that you've got in here. That's what I'll take." And I'll tell you what, I'm going to pay you like $15 a month to do that. Is that okay with you? That's kind of what it's like, except Qobuz has got like 70 million tracks, so they would have had to like expand the CD store like 14 times before they would have this kind of a collection. So we've gone from, in just 2 short years, it's been a little better than 2 short years, but it's been from 40 to now 70 million tracks, and almost everything that we're getting for the last 2 years, almost every single thing that we're getting from the labels is in high res. About
That's
80% of it every week is high resolution audio.
That's awesome. I remember when Qobuz was first being introduced to the market, and I don't know who was responsible for that effort, but they performed some miracles, apparently, because every store that I went to, every whether it's an independent hi-fi shop or what, everybody had material on Qobuz. I mean, whoever did that marketing and set up those campaigns and built that distribution network, they did an outstanding job, because one day I'd never seen it before, and then it was just like a light switch flipped and it was everywhere.
I had a lot of experience doing that. If I had done that with Tidal, so this was like soup. I don't know if it was easy, but it was a labor of love.
Sure.
And so Dan and I just
so that you were responsible for all that.
Yeah, I was the first employee in the United States, back about maybe a year before Qobuz actually launched, almost a year before that. So yeah, I had a lot of time to really get my bearings, get a good solid foundation built up. So when it launched, it was like the people that needed to know knew.
Sure.
So it's been a lot of fun promoting high resolution audio. We do it all over the place. We support all of the high end audio shows. We do
Hmm.
South by Southwest. We try to just be as visible as we can, and we try to make it look like we're a lot bigger company than we are. Like I said, there's only like 6 people on the whole United States team.
Right.
So we're super proud of what we've been able to accomplish, and thank you so much for noticing.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. And for me, I absolutely use Qobuz on a daily basis now, and I actually use it for all of my review videos now. So when I'm going to listen to music, and I need to demo something, it's always straight to the best streamer I can get my hands on with the best DAC, and the source is Qobuz via Rune. And I want to talk about
I
that for
love
just a
Rune.
minute too. Yeah, so Qobuz changed my life, but Rune was like, if Qobuz is the drug, Rune was the needle that put it in my arm. Um,
Yeah. There's maybe a little different way to think about it, but I totally get that because it's so addictive.
yeah.
But it's one thing managing, let's say, a collection of 2,000 CDs. That's a
Mhm.
pretty big collection too,
Yeah.
right? Most people are somewhere well under that. But it's one thing to manage 2,000 CDs. It's a totally different thing managing 70 million cuts. You would
Right.
never even scratch the surface. Most people focus on 100 albums. If they're really big music lovers, they typically focus on 100 albums. It's typically around our, teenage years, our
Right.
those years that the music was, things were going on in our life, and the soundtrack was the music that we were listening to, right? um so it's one, and most people kind of hang out around those 100 albums. But Rune, oh my gosh, how many bands and that you would have never heard or never thought about searching for has Rune turned you on to?
And that's what's so special to me, right? I the physical media thing is awesome and it's great, and I know people love the physical. And if you look behind me, that's my physical media addiction. Those are all books. It's hard to tell, but
Yeah.
I have lots and lots of books, and that kind of meets my needs for my physical media collecting itch, right? But for music, I could just never get what I wanted, right? And my whole life, I couldn't, either I didn't have enough money to buy everything, or the places that I went to didn't have what I wanted. So I was never really satisfied. And I mean, that lasted up until just not too terribly long ago when I first tried Rune out. And my first experience with Rune. So I sat down, I set up Rune, I jammed Qobuz in there, and this is not using local files at all. So no local media, no local rip CDs or anything like that. It's just straight Rune and Qobuz. And I pulled up and played one song, and then it was like Qobuz with Rune was reading my mind, right? And it said,
Yeah, the
I
more
played
you
another
use it,
track.
the more it actually will read your mind.
Oh, it just, I was just flabbergasted. I'm like, okay, this song's great. What's it going to play next? I'm like, oh my God, I love that. And then the next one, I've never heard of this before, and it's awesome. And it was just track after track after track. And these are things that I absolutely would never have had access to, nor heard, nor even thought about listening to without those two pieces in play working together. And
Yeah,
then,
so there's a couple ways you can do that too. And most people, the way that they discover is exactly like you just said. They'll
Mhm,
put on a track, and it'll just go. You put on your favorite blues artist, the favorite blues song of and it just kind of, it does you right. It's
right,
like it knows you.
right.
But the way that I like to do it, and I go down more rabbit holes than you can just possibly imagine. In fact, I tell people, if you can get to bed before 2:30 in the morning with Rune and Qobuz, you're doing something wrong, because
Yeah.
it just keeps you going, right. So I'll give you another really good example, because this is one that I did a while back. So I'm listening to James Brown, and I'm looking at the credits, and I'm going, God, I love Maceo Parker. He's just the best. And I pop on Maceo Parker, and everything that Maceo Parker is on pops up. Albums that I'd never heard of. And I'm a big
Mhm.
Maceo fan. Albums that I'd never heard of, places that he played that I had no idea. He was with the WDR Big Band. You know those guys
I
from
don't know
Cologne?
those guys.
They're a big band out of Germany. Great band, right? And so the first thing that pops up is gosh, Soul Sounds or something like that. It's Maceo with a red cover, and he's playing. It's
What
huge.
instrument does he play?
He's the sax player
Okay.
for James Brown, right?
Right.
So it pulls up this concert, and it's him. Christian McBride is on the bass. That's little, I think, about 18 years old. Clara Dunham, her name is, and she's into like this little evening dress, right, behind the drums, freaking killing it. And behind all those guys are this big band that is having the best time of their life. So that's the first song. That's the first thing that I went to. And I'm going, so I listened to 3 or 4 Maceo albums, and I'm going, man, these 3 or 4 sounded a whole lot better than the other ones I listened to. Oh, who's produced those?
Yeah.
So and everything this guy had produced would come in. So there's just like, there's no way to determine what rabbit hole you're gonna fly down with Rune, but the control and the user experience is really the thing that that makes it, to me, so much better than any server I have ever seen. No server has got a GUI, a user interface, a graphic user interface that is anywhere even in the league with Rune.
They don't. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. And Rune just came out with 1.8. I don't know, a month ago or 2 months ago or something like that, and it's absolutely stunning. My next rabbit hole with Rune and Qobuz will be, pulling up a Doc Severinsen track, because I love that, lead trumpet, big band kind of sound.
Yeah, and you know where that's going to lead.
Oh God, I what I hope is I don't know where it's going to lead.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's what I hope for, because I want to find things.
Good point.
I don't want it to be like Doc Severinsen and Maynard Ferguson and folks. I want some folks that I've never heard of before that just come out and just
get plenty
scream.
Of that. Yeah, you'll get plenty of that.
I just look forward to it. I won't do it until this weekend when I have some time to stay, because like you said, you'll just be there for hours. But
hey, Giles, Audio Architects just ask an excellent question.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So he says, David, is Spotify announcing high res making everyone nervous? That is a good question.
I got to tell you, I am so excited about this. It's about time. Spotify is a great service. They'll stream up to 1644, so they'll be about like a Deezer. Right. So you'll be able to get all of the CD quality that you want, which is a nice step up for Spotify. What it's really going to do, though, is it's going to put more attention on high resolution. Well, if it's this good, does it get better? This is the exact same thing that happened. This question came up about Amazon, when Amazon went HD. So it's like, you could tell it's just kind of a thing for them. It's just another checkbox on the Amazon market. So what it did for us was it raised the awareness of HD, or what they call HD. We call it high resolution because that's what it is.
Right.
Without just the whole marketing thing. Should we call it HD? Should we call it HRD? What should we call it? So why don't you just call it what it is?
High resolution.
But those guys, when they came in the market, our subscriptions just went through the roof. So I'm expecting the same thing with Spotify. But the really great news, folks, is that I think more and more visibility is coming to a head where, MP3 is just not a relevant format anymore. It's not necessary anymore, or I should say, it's rarely necessary.
Right.
It's rarely necessary.
Right on. So let's run through some of the comments, because we've been talking for a while. I think we'll go back to Steve where he said hi. I think that's where we stopped at before. Hi-Fi Haven said he's got VU meters on his tape decks. The tape deck still has some nostalgia for me. I don't have one, but I keep thinking I'll just get one in like a Guns N' Roses tape or something, just to play every once in a while. Double A says he's one of the 5 people who still use the DTS Play-Fi app, and it streams up to 24-bit. Listening to Amazon Ultra sounds pretty good. That's cool. Hi-Fi Haven also says that he uses his Amazon Fire Cube to stream up to 24,192. Cool. And let's see what else we got. Double A says that his Anthem receiver plays via the app. He didn't have to turn on the projector. That's cool. Right on. Hi-Fi says, can he play via app to his Pioneer Elite AVR?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think I don't think we're compatible with Pioneer right now, but you can always get a streamer or, use your phone or your computer.
Yeah, you'd have to just have something that'll DAC it out to analog, or either just plug it in and use the DAC inside the Pioneer.
Yeah, if he's got an Elite AVR, that's already got a DAC in it, so he could just run coax, or I'm pretty sure that's got a USB input as well, so you can even run it asynchronously through a computer and have two-way communication.
Oh, absolutely, right on. Zenboy, 2000, you might be new to the show for me too. If so, welcome. If not, welcome back. He enjoyed his Qobuz trial, but he didn't like the recommendations on the in the app, and he wants to know if there's, I guess, updates or improvements that'll be coming down the line for that.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. We'll have some really cool stuff going on a little later in this year. We're a relatively small company. But we have done some absolutely amazing things with about a quarter of the engineering staff that most of the other streaming services have. So I don't want to say never. We'll rarely be first with anything. I mean, if you are looking for like the first of something to happen, look elsewhere because it won't be us. However, if you're looking for what we consider to be the best sound quality, then Qobuz is a good choice. Although I'm not going to tell you Tidal sucks. Tidal's great. If you've got Tidal and somebody tells you that sucks because they like Qobuz better, or if you got Qobuz and somebody tells you that sucks because they like Tidal better, that is a ridiculous argument. It's like, you like Tidal, go for it because it's a great service. You like Qobuz, go for it. We're a great service and we're a little easier to use.
Right on. And I think for me, the secret sauce for any streaming service really is a Roon server.
Well, any streaming service, there's two.
Well, that's what I mean. Tidal or Qobuz, right?
So it's like, if you're going to go to Roon, then you make a choice between Tidal and Qobuz,
or both.
It's simple as that.
Or both. You just do two.
I've got both. I use both. Sure.
Yeah, but for me, not to diminish the effectiveness of any of the streaming services engines, for recommending content, but I really like that Roon engine. It's good.
There's nothing like it. There's literally nothing like it, and there's not going to be anything like it. It's not cheap, but you got to figure that you're paying brilliant engineers who update and maintain this app like nothing I've ever seen. You'll get some sort of an update, usually about once a week, every 2 weeks, and they're solid. It's a solid company. I think they're well worth the price of admission, but just don't do it and on a trial, because you're going to end up using it if you're of that ilk.
And they have a great ramp up through their trial period. So, you start the trial and they'll send you an email. Have you done this yet? Have you done this yet? And try this feature out and try this feature out. And by the end of that 7-day trial or whatever, you're done for. Just go ahead and pay them the $600 for lifetime or whatever it is, because you just get it. Just do it.
Yeah, no, I think it's like $700 or $800.
$700 or $800. It's still worth it. Totally.
It is for me. It's not for everybody, but it's definitely for me.
Very cool. All right. So Brandon, welcome to the show, Brandon. He asked the same question I think that we just asked before or answered before. How can he utilize the DAC inside of his Marantz processor for this? And all you need is some device that you can stream to, and then digital out to digital in, and then select that input, and you're done. You're good to go. And it should all sync up and work. audio architect. So for folks that don't know, that's Mike. He's my good buddy. He lives here in Castle Rock with me, and he's a big, huge physical media guy. He loves to collect, and he's big in CDs, and he loves the streaming too. Glad to see you here on the show with us, Mike. Always good to have you here. Steve comments.
One thing
go
I
ahead.
did mention, Giles, is that for those people that do like to collect stuff, I don't really care about collecting digital files as much as I care about supporting artists. So we do have a really nice download store that, if you really love the artist, go buy their download or buy their album or buy their t-shirt or do something to help these guys out, because they're not making a lot of money on streaming. I mean, honestly, it's both a blessing and a curse for the artists. So
agreed.
Help support these guys, please.
And Steve says, yeah, these guys were responsible for the huge presents that we talked about just a little while ago. Hi-Fi Haven says that he uses Amazon Music HD. And how does that compare to Qobuz? Which one's better?
It's fine. I mean, it takes a little bit to set up because it comes out of the box, so to speak, adaptive. So it's sort of like Netflix, and that it'll start off maybe at a high resolution, but anytime the internet drops, then so does you're sometimes down to 320. You're down to MP3 level if you're not careful with that system. You can shut that off. So, and there's nothing wrong with Amazon HD. Other than if you ever want to use something like a Rune, that they're out of the picture. So, but there's nothing wrong with Amazon HD.
Brandon says that he's having a hard time justifying re-ripping CDs to FLAC. He's got them as MP3s, but the high-res streaming service makes it pointless.
Totally.
So that's how I feel about it. I don't want to go. Well, not that I have any media anymore. I just don't. I've gone completely medialess for music and for video. So all my 4K stuff I do the Kaleidoscape now, and then stuff that I stream because I have to, I will do it. HBO Max has just destroyed things for me this year because they come out with all the new movies first before you can get them in full high res video with
your
full
kids
soundtrack.
Never know what that is unless you leave it to them, right? I mean, that's just the way things are going. This is and to really add to that to that question, because a lot of people are interested in burning their own CDs. If you want to do it and you got a ton of time and you're not going to get your heart broken when your hard drive goes out, go have fun with it. But almost everything that you're burning in right now, I've got a better copy on Qobuz. So you may be burning it in 1644 in FLAC. I'll most likely have it at least in that resolution, but there's a really good chance I'll have it in a 24-bit format.
Yeah, and AA was asking that exact same question. He says Amazon HD, they don't have them all in 24-bit.
Nobody's got them all in 24-bit. Everything's not available in 24-bit. The only way you'll get everything available in 24-bit is if you're upsampling, which is cheating big time.
Right.
And we would never do that. So yeah, you're right. Most really in the big scheme of things, most everything is 1644. But if there's something coming out in 2496 or 24192, I'll give you a really good example. We just got the whole Neil Young collection up in 24192, and this stuff is spectacular. You can't get this sound on a CD. So there's all kinds of stuff that to be able to stream this stuff at a much higher quality than you can rip it. Just at some point it'll be even better than that.
Very cool. All right, so we're about 45 minutes in. So at this point, I'm going to change gears just a little bit because we're going to go to another little segment that I like to call Content Corner. Hopefully everyone knows what that is, but now let's take a break and stroll down to a cozy little place I like to call Content Corner. This is where we talk about all the cool content we consume. Let's talk about that. And today, since I love movies, it's all about Justice League, baby. So I just have to take a couple of minutes and talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. I know everybody out there that's watching this has probably seen the movie at this point. Hopefully you have as well, David. Maybe not, but oh man, I just I got the hairs just stood up on my arms just saying the name. This thing was awesome, and so the one thing that I think is kind of applicable here is they made so many changes between the version that was just released and the version that came out, I guess what, in 2017. And one of the big changes was the score. And I don't know if a lot of people paid attention to that, but they had Junkie XL come in and rescore pretty much the whole thing, and it just sounds amazing. His music is really, really good. It changes the whole feeling of the movie, in ways that really I guess it's just so transformed that it's hard to pull it all apart. But that music for me really made a huge difference, and the color palette that they used in certain parts of the movie made a huge difference as well, especially at the end in the big fight scene, because in the original cut it was all red, but in this Snyder cut they really turned it back to the blues, and it made a humongous difference. And then I guess Mad Piranha, he cuts right to the heart of it, because this is where the drama is. The movie was epic, absolutely epic, but the aspect ratio. This was presented in 4:3 as opposed to anamorphic 2:3:5 to 1 or 2:4 to 1, and so this is really designed to be viewed in an IMAX theater with an IMAX screen, or if you have like an old television from like 1970. You can watch it at home with no bars. But that's the controversy, and I fall on the side with Mad Piranha. I'm curious what other people thought about the aspect ratio. The movie was good enough that I totally got over that, and it was so immersive that I got into it and my eyes were sucked in, so I didn't notice that it was just a big square all the time instead of having that kind of immersive widescreen feel. But there were a lot of changes to the movie. I'm going to run through just a handful of them here, right? So at the beginning of the movie, if you remember in the original cut, there was the weird interviews with Superman, and the Henry Cavill, he had a mustache at the time, and so they digitally edited that out, and it made him look totally weird in in that original cut. They refilmed all that, so that weirdness is all gone. There's the chapter cards now. I think there were 5 chapters to the movie. It's 4 hours long, which is different. And I guess maybe one of the biggest changes for me that I really enjoyed seeing is that Flash. His character was moved away from so look to David. No way, man. You're here with me. You're in for the long run. You're all good. The Flash. He wasn't a comic relief character anymore. He was like the real deal. Anyway, I just wanted to call that out, because if folks haven't seen that movie yet, I think they should go check it out, because it's well worth the price of admission. With that, I think I'm going to close off my rant for the day on content, and then swing this over to David. Is there anything that you've heard music wise or seen video wise in the last couple of weeks that it just blew your socks off? Anything that's noteworthy that people might want to go check out?
Yeah, like I say, the new Neil Young collection in 24/192 is pretty spectacular. And then we just got a new 50-year anniversary Tower of Power live album it's incredible. It's in 24/192, and that's available exclusively on Qobuz. So
Awesome.
yeah, I listen to stuff like every day, almost all day. I got a couple big Magna planers right on the other side of my desk.
Oh, that's cool.
That they're like 6 feet tall. That's my desktop system. So I get to listen to this, just incredible stuff all day long. And because of what I do, people are going, "Oh, you got to listen to this. You got to listen to this." So I think what I'll do is I'll turn you on to maybe a playlist of some incredible recordings that I think are just noteworthy that people should hear.
Please do. And oh, I got to take a moment. And apparently, my mom is out there watching. Hi, Mom. How you doing? Good to have you on the show. So on your live stream, and if folks don't know, you do, is it a weekly live stream?
Yeah.
And you have the most amazing guests, but you have, I think it's maybe a Qobuz employee. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. But
Sujan.
yes,
Sujan
she
Han.
knows everything about everything.
Yes,
I mean,
she does.
it's amazing, and she always knows the best stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I like to just check the show out for when she pops in and drops those little tidbits. I mean that's worth the price of admission right there. I mean,
She's got an encyclopedic knowledge of music, and she's just so much fun to work with, and so much of the content, playlists, and new releases, and pretty much everything that you see on Qobuz is due to Sujan. She's an amazing person, and you could just tell she's awesome to work with.
Absolutely. So, I would recommend that everyone check the show out. I'm going to make sure that there are links down below so they know how to find that information. And all this stuff comes across your YouTube channel or rather your Facebook channel as well, right?
Yeah.
And what's the name of that one again?
Streaming Music Matters. And that's a great little group if you just want to, get a ton of wonderful recommendations for music. If you've got any tech questions, we've got a bunch of tech guys there. I answer a lot of the tech questions myself, but it's really just a neat community that's void of so much of the backbiting that you see on the internet these days. We just don't have a group that does it. If we ever do have, weird things that pop up, I'll pop them off really quick.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Managing a group is not a trivial activity any longer, especially when you get to larger size. There are a lot of folks out there that.
Yeah, luckily I don't have a lot of managing to do. We've got
we've
got a pretty good group of people.
That's awesome. All right, so we are winding down now. So I'm going to go through and do my weekly cleanup. So upcoming projects here on the Home Theater Fanatics channel will be a Acurus Act 4 review. So that one has finished filming. It's in editing right now. So I'm really excited to get that one out. It should be featured in the April newsletter, I think, coming out from Acurus. So just an amazing piece of equipment. It sounds so good. I've used a lot of what I consider to be kind of the consumer brands from a processing point of view for home theater, and this thing is just next level. I mean, it's just amazing, and I'm really happy to have a chance to work with the gear and create some content around that. So that'll be coming out in a few weeks. This week's video, though, is going to be Bookshelf Battle number 4, and I love doing the bookshelf battles. And this was listened to on Qobuz with Rune. So that was the back end for the music that we listened to in this battle. So that'll be dropping probably Friday, maybe Saturday, maybe Thursday, just depends on when things get done. So I'm really excited about that as well. And then for everybody that's out there watching right now, I just want to say thanks for tuning into the show tonight. If you haven't yet, please take a moment and subscribe. I'd also strongly encourage you to jump over to Streaming Music Matters, check that out, and make sure to catch all of those live streams, because if you want to know about music, that is the stream to listen to. They Joey Peacock says, "Boom, Act 4." That's right. He's all like, "That's my baby." And Mad Piranha says, home theater walk around anytime soon. You know what? I might just do a live stream for that, because I want to do the 2021 home theater tour video, but I don't know when I'm going to get around to it. So maybe one day I'll just grab a camera and just the future is now streaming and get that done for everybody so they can see, because I've made a lot of changes in the theater. And then I have a dedicated 2-channel system down there too that I think folks will be interested in. And finally, the last item as we close in on the 9 o'clock hour is next week's guest will be Perlison. So they are a new speaker manufacturer entering the U.S. market. And, their claim to fame right now is they've got, I think it's the first set of THX Dominus certified speakers, and their stuff is just absolutely gorgeous. I haven't heard it yet, It might have been at some of the shows that I just didn't pick up on it and take the time to go see them. But I'm really looking forward to the next show where they're there and I'm there and I can take a listen to their gear. But there's a lot of hype around these guys right now, and I'm extremely excited to talk to them. We will likely have to start an hour early next week, as that they are in Amsterdam, I think. They're somewhere over in Scandinavia. So they'll be up at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. to do the show with us. So I think we're gonna have to slide it an hour earlier. You'll see that in the invitation that comes out to everyone when that hits the presses. And with that, I think we're gonna call it a night. David, thank you so much for spending a late night with us. I know this is deep into the dark recesses of time in Atlanta world, because it's coming up on 11 o'clock for you. And I know your day starts early. So I am extremely grateful for your time. Your expertise and knowledge, I think, has been a great boon for everybody here on the show, and being able to hear from the man who really knows what's going on with Qobuz. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Giles.
Absolutely. So folks, thanks for tuning in. David, again, thanks. And as always, we'll see you next week. Same, I want to say bat channel and same bat time, but maybe same HTF channel, same HTF time. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.